Live from San Diego, California, this is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans by the fans, with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eitzmo, and Mike Maciejewski. We're talking Chargers, Padres, and Aztec sports. It's time to let your voice be heard.
What's up there, San Diego Sports Junkies? This is show for fans.
By the fans.
Ah, you sound so far away, man.
Sorry about that. We're having a little technical difficulty.
Because Jason's not here.
Well, it's fine. I'm filling in and doing an admiral job.
Admirable.
Admirable. Yeah, Admiral?
The Admiral. Very.
I'm the Admiral. David Robinson.
Nice.
All right.
So we got a good show lined up today. Obviously, we're going to talk some Chargers football, talk some Padres baseball. The preseason, we just finished, playing the Arizona Cardinals, and Josh Lambo is the new starting kicker. We're just breaking that news right now.
Jeez. Right?
Pretty impressive, though, right?
How good of an appearance that is for him. I mean, the guy goes out and hits what could be a 53-yarder at the end of the half, then hits the game winner. He hits 3 total. But the game winner, a walk-off style, like
47-yarder.
Give me a break, man. I mean, you couldn't have a – and then, unfortunately, Nick Novak gets banged up a little bit and tweaks his ankle or whatever he did and misses, he missed a chippy, didn't he?
I honestly didn't see it, to be honest.
Novak missed a field goal. I just can't remember if it was an extra point. Maybe somebody in the chat room can let us know. But he missed one and then gets hurt, and then Lambo just gets kind of an easy path for a bunch of attempts. So that makes him look great.
I think Lambo's really bummed. Yeah, I think he's really bummed that Novak's got a injury.
And he doesn't sound like he sounds very confident. If you've heard him in his conference after the game conference calls or whatever, he's very confident in what he's doing. He's all, I was brought here to do a job, and I'm looking to win the kicking job. So
well, and here's the thing. I love Nick Novak. I think he's a great kicker. Obviously, he's one of the most accurate kickers in NFL history. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I have a knock on him is kickoffs,
right?
And the fact that he can't, kick it out of the end zone. They're always returning it, so there's always that opportunity for them to break one and get good field possession or score a touchdown. Where a lot of these NFL kickers that we see, they're kicking the crap out of it. I mean, it's because they moved it to the 35, right?
Yes.
They moved it to 35, and ever since then, every other team seems like they're kicking out of the end zone. There's no returns anymore.
And Novak hasn't,
except for when you're facing the Chargers, then
right.
you get to return it back. So that's my only one knock on Nick Novak, is that I wish that he had a little more leg when it comes to the kickoffs.
Yeah, and it adds another dimension. We know that. How long has it been since we've seen a guy bang it out past the end zone? We haven't. It's been a long time. What does it do for you? Field position, when you already have now you add a guy like Lambo, he can kick it out at the back of the end zone. You add a guy on the other side who can return punts, and Jacoby Jones. All of a sudden, your special teams has upgraded very much going into the season. I mean,
right.
you're looking at an upgraded special teams unit, and it's one of the 3 phases of football. You got to have a good special team.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because after the game, obviously the big story was Lambo, and you saw the fans' reactions, and you saw people that got very defensive, very upset. How can we, dismiss,
forget about Novak?
Yeah, forget about Novak,
Right.
Dismiss what he's done. But this is a business,
It is.
And you got to make the best business decision. I've brought this up. If there was a guy on the roster that was better than Phillip Rivers would not be here.
Right.
There's
not.
There's not. But if there was,
Exactly.
if there was, that's a business. You can't get emotional and say everything he's done. People are like, oh, all the things he's done for us. Well, he kicked 84% of his field goals last year, which is not amazing.
Yeah.
It's not great. I mean, yeah, he's had 2 solid years before that, but if you look at last year alone, if Lambo can kick, the 90-95% of his field goals, that's a big improvement. I take that.
Do you guys know if any team has ever run 3 kickers out there?
I'm sure it's
specific
happened.
to field goal, kickoff, and punt.
And that's a good point, Josh. That
Yes.
could happen.
Oh no, I haven't.
I've never seen it or heard of it personally.
But do you think they would consider that going into the regular season?
I'm sure they would. Maybe they feel comfortable with Novak hitting the field goals and Lambo just kicking off. But do you need that extra roster spot? It's going to come down to camp or this cut. You know, it's what they need on this team. If they're okay with the depth at certain positions, that one spot could be huge, because look how many receivers you need to keep this year. Look how many linebackers we have.
Right.
Secondaries demands a lot of spots. So yeah, you're kind of taking up that really important last spot to me. That's just my opinion.
Now, talking about this Arizona game, obviously there was some offensive struggles, to say the least.
Yeah.
But did anybody stand out to you guys at all offensively? Was there anybody that stood out to you that was like, kind of an eye-opener at all from the offensive side? I know the defense did. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But offensively, is there anybody that stood out to you at all that rose an eyebrow that you were kind of like, huh?
There's a shout out to the offensive line for me. I mean, they did well at times, and then there was times where they kind of looked lost. The cool part was I saw Fluke and Franklin finishing downfield past 10 yards, obliterating a blocker, pushing through the line. It was a good sight to see on a run block.
I love seeing him at guard.
Exactly. And how long has it been since we've seen a really formidable running attack for your offensive line? Just nasty.
4 years ago?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's been since LT, and guys up front that just are willing to do the dirty work.
Right.
And it wasn't a lack of effort, I don't think. It's just the talent wasn't here. And now you see that talent, I think. I'm not saying they were perfect against Arizona by any means, but there were certain plays that stood out to me. I'm like, wow, they really opened a big hole for that running back. And it's nice to see, because I think the running game has to be a focus this year, because we ranked near the bottom of the league last year in rushing and rushing attempts. So, I mean, Phillip put it on his back last season. It can't happen this year.
Mikey?
Yeah, not one really stood out to me per se. Obviously, the third string guys. One guy I actually was interested in, and I saw a couple of his catches, was Austin Pettis, because he came on late. He came in late in the game, but he was a signing at the end of the last season. One of those guys.
St. Louis.
St.
Louis. Yeah.
Another guy on the bubble. Because we don't know if him and Inman are battling out for that fifth or sixth spot.
But, it wasn't anything amazing per se. Like I said, I did catch a couple of his catches. And, again, it's against third-string guys, so who knows.
J-Bone's joining us.
J-Bone.
Breaking news, SCSJ.
The show just got worse.
I was listening on the way in, guys. No chance they're carrying 3 kickers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad.
But it has been out there.
Yeah, it's happened before.
People are talking about it, so we thought we'd bring it up. It's a possibility, but I don't think they're going to put a third kicker or punter or whoever in that vital role. You can't 46 guys on game day, 53-man roster.
Yeah, not gonna happen though. No. They got too much talent on this team.
I would agree with you. I think you're going to have to make a tough decision.
You're looking beautiful, Jason.
No.
You know what he looks like?
You're looking beautiful.
Somebody tweet out a photo of Jason. He's
I can't hear
He's
myself.
wearing a Paul Bunyan-esque flannel today, as he was outside chopping wood. Look at this guy. He looks like he just got done running a mile or chopping wood, one or the other.
Ran from the parking lot.
So I don't know if you heard the question, but I asked them. Obviously we'll get to the defense. We know that they stood out mightily, but as far as the offense is concerned, was there anybody that stood out to you at all? They were lackluster, let's be honest, but was there anybody that stood out to you at all when you were watching that game against Arizona?
Well, I thought Justin's favorite receiver, undrafted receiver Williams, made a couple big catches, but boy, he made a couple big drops too.
He did.
Right.
One ball was thrown behind him, which should have been 6.
Yeah.
I think overall he's a rookie, and he made some opportunities look pretty well. I'm rooting for the kid. I just don't think he has I don't think he's been able to show enough.
It's going to be tough. I'll tell you one thing. One thing that we really learned from watching this is if Phillip Rivers gets hurt, we are screwed.
Yes, we are.
We are screwed.
Absolutely.
Because we got nothing. We got nothing. We have nothing from the neither one of our backups showed anything. To be honest with you, I know that you guys
totally agree.
Are fans of.
I'm with you too. I don't dislike Kellen Clemens. I think he's a fine backup. He just really hasn't shown it in the preseason. I don't know if that's and he hasn't got to be. Well, I mean, those are considered the starters, but you didn't really have your run game in there.
He hasn't had a great preseason, and I'll agree with you that. The one thing that I think Clemens brings to the team, for anybody who's going to try and make the let's keep Sorensen over that's a terrible argument because Sorensen hasn't looked that good either.
No.
But Clemens at least brings veteran presence, and you got to remember there's a lot of stuff that the backup quarterback's doing on the sideline during games, helping the starter, notice things and
Right.
Filling
and I think-
Rivers' water bottle,
well,
getting him his towel.
helping him see
Where's my
stuff.
clipboard?
And I really would trust Clemens more than Sorensen on that, just
Well,
because
of
he's
course.
been in the league
Veteran,
longer.
yeah. But no, we're not counting on Kellen Clemens to come in and win us ball games. That's for sure. What
which
else?
is a shame because, excuse me, there is a chance that, God forbid, Phillip Rivers gets hurt, and let's say down the road, hypothetically speaking, we're in the playoff hunt and Phillip Rivers goes down and Clemens got to play a game or two, then what's going to happen?
Right.
You know what I mean? Are we all of a sudden going to fall out of the playoff role because
I think Kellen
so
Clemens.
it concerns me a little bit.
The only thing that concerns me is I'm not worried about him playing a game here and there, but playing a stretch of games, that concerns me. If he's got to come in for a half, I think he's good enough to manage a half or one game.
Yeah,
If you're going to put him in consecutive games, I think we'd be in trouble.
We can keep this argument short, but Charlie Whitehurst or Kellen Clemens?
Kellen Clemens.
Clemens. I'm not
Still
a
agree?
Whitehurst. Yeah.
Clemens. Whitehurst sucks.
Clipboard Jesus.
So let's flip the page over to the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, they the starting front seven played outstanding. It's something that we've been waiting to see, something that we badly need. If you look at last year, I think we're ranked like 29th in the NFL when it comes to sacking the quarterback. Our front seven came out and really laid the wood for the first half of that game. Mikey, I'll let you start first.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna take this one now. I'm gonna go Melvin Ingram.
Hashtag Spinaroonie.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It was big time to see him step up. I know it's a preseason game, but I haven't seen him dominate like he did that day anywhere, any preseason, anytime.
Did you read the article about the spin move by anybody?
No, I did not.
Came out. He just attributed a lot of the success about his new spin move that he's incorporating in his game to Dwight last year, Freeney. Obviously, the big dog of spin moves. So
Right.
that's good to see, though. Off the edge, spin move, sack on the quarterback. How many sacks did he have in that game? Two.
Yeah.
Two.
So,
Yeah.
Padres just won, by the way.
perfect.
Nice.
6'5". Justin Upton hit 2 home runs.
Yeah.
In case you missed
Suck
it.
He hated both of them.
Suck it.
Yeah,
Justin.
I went to my daughter's dance performance tonight, and when I went in there, we were leading like 5-1, and then I leave and it's 6-5.
Watch it fall
I said,
apart
what the-
almost.
What the heck
Bryce
happened?
Harper happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Gotta love our bullpen.
Stay on topic. Front seven. Ingram flashed. What else flashed to you guys?
I was, the front seven. I thought I liked the sacks. I don't think they actually played shutdown football.
No.
I think that Phylon got a good push. It was really nice to see him.
Yeah.
But
He's been
ultimately,
impressive.
Yeah, so far,
Really,
yes.
though? For a 6th-round pick, I would say he's been pretty adequate as a rookie so far.
Yeah,
I think
I totally agree.
Ultimately, our front seven, what they did was something they weren't doing last year, and even though they were giving up some plays, they got some big sacks. And
Huge
you got to
sacks.
think, I'll take the giving up the big play, giving up the plays every once in a while if you're going to give me the big sack, and
Right.
they at least gave me that, so I was happy with that.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, you got to figure the defense has got to bend a little bit, but just don't break.
Yeah, and
You know
make
what
the
I mean?
big play,
Yeah.
and make the big play.
Atauchu?
But
Yeah.
Atauchu played well.
Gesundheit.
I think he's played well all preseason, and I like the fact that we've seen a couple really big plays, but he's just been a real steady player.
Yep.
You like
know?
him and Ingram come opening,
Yeah,
opening game?
I'm comfortable
This,
with that.
you know what? In the way Butler has come to camp and looked in the preseason, he hasn't looked bad at all. He's looked fine. With Te'o getting more years under his belt, he's looking solid to me. He's not looking spectacular in any way.
Right.
But he looks like a solid football player that doesn't look lost. I think you're going to have a really good core of linebackers this year. But I'm looking forward to those edge guys. The Atauchu and Ingram
God bless you.
getting after the quarterback. So it's going to be fun. I really believe it's going to be a good season for the
Yeah,
defense.
I totally gotta agree with Jason here. Like I didn't see anything dominate. I mean, outside of the offensive line looked great, but I still the coverage was kind of nothing special.
No.
I'd say, and
Verrett didn't play,
We
though, right?
we haven't had our full coverage out there in any game so far.
yeah, but
Right.
I mean, nor has the other offenses. Not like we're playing
Yeah.
our
It's
second
kind
string.
of
against
it's kind of like
you know,
a Kellen Clemens, conversation with our secondary.
Yeah,
You're a little
and
concerned
I
with the backups.
I mean, we sit here, we still point the positives out when they play against the Cowboys, pretty much second string offense start the game. So you got to take that into consideration. Obviously, not all things are equal, but again, you'd like to see whoever's out there still playing at a high level. And I in the secondary itself, I didn't really see like anything special.
I thought Craig Mager played a lot better again.
Yes.
I think
yeah.
he stepped up again.
I agree.
He's
He played
taking
solid. He
yeah,
played a solid
that's what I
game.
mean. He's each game he's kind of proven me wrong, because at the beginning we were like, okay,
Building his
because he had a
confidence.
bad practice, people got on him.
Exactly.
So no, and I'm not saying I was. I'm just saying there was that perception already from the beginning of camp that he sucks, and I'm watching a guy learn and grow, and he's covering receivers. He's doing a great job out there. Nothing fantastic, but he's doing a solid job, because I'm focused on him when he's in the game. I'd like to see if he doesn't get burned or not.
Right.
And he seems like he's staying with the receivers quite nicely.
Now, we've battled some injuries, obviously. Going into preseason game number 3, we're playing the Seahawks. This is like the final tune-up for the starters, but from a lot of what I've been hearing on local talk radio, it sounds like a lot of our starters are going to be sitting. Does that concern you guys at all?
I didn't hear that at all. I mean, I think they're going to be playing. I know Melvin Gordon's going to get some carries, a lot of carries.
I know on 1360 last night when I was driving home from work, they had an interview from Mike McCoy, and he didn't name names, but he made a point that there's going to be quite a few starters that are going to be sitting, and they're not going to know until game day.
Well, but that's what he always said. He doesn't give anything.
Yeah,
he doesn't give
right.
anything.
I love that about McCoy. By
He doesn't
the way.
do anything. You know, Melvin Gordon's going to get probably, I'm not going to say 20 carries. He's going to get probably 8 to 9 carries in this game. He needs work.
Depending on how things go.
Well, yeah, he needs
His
to
hip.
get in there. Well, whatever. He needs to play. He needs to man up and play.
The thing is, I look at what the Chargers are doing, and at first I was nervous because Rivers went in and played one series in the first game like they always do.
Right.
And then the second game he sat out, and we've never seen that before, ever,
Right.
and we talk about, he said, well, when we went and we mapped out the preseason and everything, this was part of the plan. Of course he's going to say that, he's a liar when it comes to stuff like that, which I'm going to say it all year long. I'm fine with that. So it made me wonder, was that really what the plan was? Or maybe there's something nagging, with Philip Rivers and they don't want to put him in. But the more I thought about it, I thought, everybody's talking about, the teams need to go, they need to change it to 2 preseason games.
Right.
They need to change it to 2 preseason games. Maybe the Chargers are playing this preseason like we only have 2 preseason games.
And they mentioned that again on 1360. I don't mean to keep pubbing them, but when I was listening to those guys, they were talking about that Mike McCoy is making it 2 preseason games for the starters. And the main thing was to make sure that we go into week 1 healthy.
Yeah.
Because, we don't want to go in missing a Danny Woodhead. We don't want to go in missing a Nick Hardwick.
Well,
we
just
want
ask
to
the
go.
Packers how they feel right
We
now.
want to go into the regular
Right.
season healthy, and so he's okay with the the veteran starters missing some reps. Now Melvin Gordon does need to get his touches. He needs to be familiar
They
with
said he's
blocking
gonna play,
schemes
so
and
let's see.
Hitting the hole. But I think the veterans like Weddle, like Phillip Rivers, like Danny Woodhead, these guys can afford to sit out. And I'm curious to see in this third game what's going to happen with the tight end position. Because is Gates going to get more time, or is Ladarius Green going to get more time?
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting comment you make. About the 2 games. Obviously everybody complains about the injuries every year and stuff, and those things just happen.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really blame the NFL for having 4 preseason games.
Jordy Nelson, nobody touched him. That could have happened anyway.
It could have happened in
He
practice.
came down awkwardly and ripped it up.
Yeah, he could have been getting out the jar at the top of a shelf and fallen down. And,
Nobody hit me when I tore my ACL, so same thing.
Yeah, so but that's a good point. Like the coaching staff has to go ahead and do that. If you want preseason to be 2 games, as a fan, you need to understand that as a trade-off, you're going to go to a game and there's going to be no one
Right.
for the sake of your health of your team. And secondly, you're okay with your coach saying, I'm only going to care about 2 games and put my guys in for a little bit.
Right.
Right.
So
I'm fine with that, to be honest with you.
exactly. So, people keep saying it's about money, it's about money, it's about money. It is
For the owners.
for the owners, but at the same time, as a fan, you need to go in there knowing
Right.
this is what I need, the trade-off.
We said this last year, but last year, who does anybody know who was undefeated in preseason?
Who cares?
Exactly. Exactly. Just because the Chargers are 2-0 means nothing.
Right.
I want them to get a good look at some of these players because I want to make them see them make really good roster decisions.
Right.
And I could care less. Philip Rivers knows how to play the game, and the fact that he's not playing in all 4 preseason games,
Right.
will that set him back? Maybe a little bit. But I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't think so.
I have a
Yeah.
good analogy for Melvin Gordon, because it's like when if you buy a brand new Lamborghini and you got to keep it in the garage for like 3 months before you get to drive it.
Right.
It's terrible, right?
Right.
It's like having Melvin Gordon for Charger fans. in general. I think we're all concerned if he has a nagging injury. Right. But at some point we want to drive the Lamborghini, right? You want to get him out there and see what the damn thing 0 to 60 can do. So get him out there, play him. My thing is don't overwork him. Give him a nice workload to 5 to 8 carries and see what he can do, and make sure he can pass protect, and make sure he can do the little things he's been learning in camp, because that's how you get Phillip Rivers killed. If he's not on the same page in pass protection, like they say they've been struggling with, then he needs to get out there and learn what happens on the fly and get out there and see live bullets.
Quick shout-out before we roll along here to Mickey Koch for joining the chat room. I've been trying to get this guy to call in. He's a huge, huge Padre fan.
I see him on Twitter all the time.
I talk to Mickey all the time. What's up, Mickey? What's going on, buddy?
So shout-out, Mick. Welcome to the show. Hopefully we can have you talk some Padres baseball with us later on today. So, keep in touch. We'll give out that phone line shortly. We're going to take a quick break, guys. When we come back, we're going to have Jake Hefner from ProFootballSpot.com to talk some more Chargers football in depth, going over preseason week 2. We got a little piece just before we go to break that we're going to play for you.
Yeah, before we go to break, you guys know Sickness, big follower of the show. Representing San Diego, and he came out with his Save Our Bolt song.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
all over the news.
Yeah, there was fans requesting for him to make an anthem for the team, and he did that. So he was gracious enough to give us a little snippet of his upcoming song. I believe it's him and Rodizzi, again working on the track. So we're gonna play that for you guys. We're here going to commercial break. Enjoy. It says first listen as far as we know.
Seasickness,
Rodizzi, new Chargers anthem.
Our team. What's next? Super Bowl rings. San Diego Chargers. Full pride. We love our Chargers. Now you tell me who comes harder. AFC West. Don't even bother. Thinking you the best. Charger Nation. We run the West. Yeah, we run the West. Let me break it down. AFC West. We rep our team. Yeah, we bless. Don't put us to the test. Yeah, you know the rest. Blue and gold when we bleed, they go
It's time. Fantasy freaking football is back, and this is the Fantasy Corner of San Diego Sports Junkies. I'm your host, Steve-O, and I'm here once again to challenge you to win your fantasy league this year. You can do that by doing 2 simple things. First, you're going to listen to our weekly podcast on Wednesday nights. Secondly, you're going to interact with us by email or on social media. You can email us at fantasycorner17@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at fantasycorner17. Our live show can be viewed at www.SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com/fantasy. Get your expert weekly advice on starters, sleepers, and keepers, and of course the rants and raves about the fantasy season. So stay tuned for our 2015 kickoff show Wednesday, September 2nd. This is the Fantasy Corner of San Diego Sports Junkies.
All right, guys, we are back and we are better than ever. We have Jake Hefner from ProFootballSpot.com to join the conversation. Jake, welcome to the show, bud.
A good Wednesday night, gentlemen. How are we doing tonight?
Oh, man, anytime we can sit down and talk sports is a good night, my friend.
Absolutely.
So I got a quick question for you. Manti Te'o comes out that he's battling a little bit of an injury. First of all, I've heard it's not his foot. 2 questions. Number 1, what is it? And number 2, should we be concerned?
Well, like you guys were alluding to before the break and how McCoy usually addresses the injuries, there's not really much information that anybody knows at this particular point in time. And, as far as when he came out and said the injury reports earlier this week, he said nothing was more significant than Dontrell Inman's concussion. So you hope that maybe it's just, it is as minor as they're making it out to be, and maybe they let him sit this game and give Denzel Perryman some extra reps. But as far as I know, and as far as the rest of the media world knows, there is no update on Manti Te'o's current injury status.
Now, another thing we were talking about before the break is the fact that Phillip Rivers, for the first time ever, he played in the first preseason game and they completely held him out of the second preseason game. Most teams are ramping things up. A couple things. Number one is he, a lot of players and a lot of teams want him to go down to 2 preseason games. Is McCoy kind of treating this like we're only going to have 2 preseason games, or is it possible that there's something small going on with Phillips that they just don't want to get him in there and have him aggravate?
What I heard is that they had discussed before the preseason even started. McCoy, the organization, had discussions with Rivers as far as exactly what his preseason reps were going to look like. So this was all predetermined. So none of this should be a surprise. Of course, maybe a little bit to the fans, but you hear this news now. None of this was a surprise to Phillip Rivers, of course. From the standpoint of 2 preseason games, I don't think that they're treating it as if there is only 2 preseason games. Obviously, you want everybody healthy come the beginning of September, but I don't think that they're treating it that way. I think it's more for just a standpoint to say, hey, you have 90 players on this roster. And even though you only have 3 quarterbacks currently, really that are going to compete for positions on this roster, maybe it's just an opportunity to say, hey, what do we have in Kellen Clemens? What do we really have in Brad Sorensen, and giving them the most reps possible? Because, for this week 3, Phillip Rivers is going to play the most snaps out of any preseason game of this regulation right now. So Brad Sorensen may not get as much reps as he normally would, maybe at the 4th quarter at best. And then you come to the last game of the preseason, and you're probably going to see Kellen Clemens out there and Brad Sorensen go, half and half like they did this last week. So I think it's more for the aspect of really getting to know the depth that you have at the quarterback position. I don't think that there was anything else to read into it other than that.
Hey, Jake, it's Josh here. Josh Lambo obviously came onto the big scene in a big way. He knocked down some really clutch field goals to end the second half and to ultimately win the game. How much pressure is on Nick Novak? Nick Novak. Sorry, thank you, Jason. Because obviously, Novak, a lot of concerns have been with his leg. Obviously he's pretty consistent with kicking the field goal, but kicking the ball out of the end zone has been a concern for a lot of people. Does Josh Lambo get a legitimate shot, or is he just trying to push Nick Novak his game a little bit?
Well, who would have thought that? Kicking battle. I know we had brought that up, a couple months ago very briefly, and we dismissed it just as fast. It's funny to think what this would have looked like had Novak not aggravated his ankle in that game, because Josh Lambo probably would not have gotten as many opportunities to make field goals and extra points as he did, and ultimately goes on to be the hero of that game in securing a win for the Chargers in a very clutch situation at that. And, what can you say about a rookie kicker who not only booms 3 field goals, but kicks them accurately, and field goals that, the posts could be moved back another 10 yards and it's still going to be down the middle. So there is no question that Josh Lambo is going to get a shot. The only question is whether or not it's going to be in San Diego. We don't know. You signed Novak to a contract extension a couple years ago. He's obviously proven time and time again in clutch situations at a 90% accuracy, making the good majority of his field goals during the regular season when it counted to, secure wins for the Chargers. So he's battle tested. He's proven. Josh Lambo, he's right now he's the flavor of the month. Let's see what will happen over these next 2 weeks, because it obviously looks good on paper. And when you see a rookie kicker come in like that under pressure time situations, albeit in preseason, it definitely looks good. So time's going to tell, but if it's not on the Chargers, Josh Lambo will have a roster spot somewhere in the NFL.
Real quickly before we move on from Josh Lambo, I had heard that as great as he has looked and his kickoffs has looked fantastic and everything in the preseason games, I've heard in practice he hasn't been as strong as what we've seen in the games. And then also, your opinion, would you be comfortable going into the season with Josh Lambo as our kicker, or would you want to stay with Novak?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people may even consider keeping both. I think as a third option. Dallas Cowboys did that a couple years ago when they had drafted David Buehler, and David was still learning how to do his field goal kicks better because he wasn't as strong, but he could boom the ball all the way down the field and touchbacks, I think, almost every single time for the kickoffs. So Dallas went that route. I think in the Chargers circumstance, because you're most likely going to have player depth elsewhere, that's not really going to end up being an option come after week 4. So it is going to be kind of a risk. I mean, look what the Denver Broncos did today. They cut their starting kicker at Connor Barth, and now they're going with McManus as their starter because they needed to fill a roster spot elsewhere. So who ultimately knows where the decision is coming down to it? Like McCoy said it best, we got 2 games left. Let's see what happens. So it'd be interesting to see, especially in this game coming up this week against Seattle, what's really going to be how many shots is Lambo going to get this week at kicking extra points or kicking field goals? Who knows? Is Nick Novak, is his ankle okay? He wasn't reported. It sounds like everything's fine. Is he going to get his normal reps that he would usually get? So time's going to tell on that. So we'll ultimately find out. But, decision time, if it were me and we had to decide now, I'd still stick with the guy who's proven it time and time again in Nick Novak.
Hey, Jake, it's Justin. Jumping around is in keeping in tradition here with the San Diego Sports Junkies. We like to mess with you a little bit. Offensive side of the ball. Let's put the Melvin Gordon stuff, we've been hearing on local radio to rest. I keep hearing he's hurt and this and that. Okay, he's hurt. He was held out because he probably had a little injury. People are saying he's not adequate enough to handle pass protection. He's this and that, and he's a rookie. He's gonna have his learning curve. How many snaps do you see Melvin getting in this third preseason game? I know nagging injury. It could linger. What's your assessment on the role will be this Saturday night for Melvin?
I would think that as long as the Phillip Rivers and the starting offense is in there, that Melvin Gordon should be getting rotated in as well. So if it ends up being the whole first half that the starting offense is in, keep Gordon in there. I don't believe that, obviously it wasn't the intention of the Chargers to have him miss the second game. Unfortunately, he had gotten a small injury, and the Chargers erred on the side of caution to say, your first-round pick, your big investment in the offseason as a rookie, you're not going to throw that out there and possibly get him even worse condition. Right. So he's going to get a lot of reps, I think, in this game, and he has to, because he's going to have to make up for it. He got a chance to get his mental reps in last week. Now he's got to go back on the field and go up against. I mean, what better test to put your rookie through than one of the best run-stopping teams in the league, albeit in preseason, but still. Going up against that front seven, which is absolutely fearsome at stopping the run. Let's see what Melvin Gordon can do. Hopefully this offensive line can get a little bit better production in the running game and gel a little bit better in order to open up holes. But what better test that you'd want to have your rookie learn by attrition? So I think that the Melvin Gordon should be getting plenty of reps this week, get a good opportunity to see if he can do a much better performance than he did in week 1, and see what the kid's got.
I'd love to see him out there and give him a few more reps. I agree with you completely. Going from one Melvin to the other, Melvin Ingram sure had a game.
God, didn't he?
Last week, boy, he looked heads and tails above everybody else on the field. Have the Chargers seen enough of him in the preseason that maybe they might want to shut him down because he has had injury issues throughout his career, or are they going to get him as many reps as possible because he hasn't seen as much playing time in the last few years? Do you know what their plans are with him, and what do you think they should be doing?
Melvin looks like he's in mid-season form right now, and that was just ridiculous. Even when he wasn't getting in on the sacks, he was creating pressure every single time that he came off the line. And of course, made you think of an old 93 back in his prime with that spin move that he laid on the right tackle, which was absolutely phenomenal to come around that sack. And then from the left side for his second one, just absolutely predicted the snap count, got off the line extremely quick, and laid out the quarterback. So, I mean, obviously Melvin has done things in the off season. I mean, we've all seen the pictures of his physique and, you know, him dropping the weight and the discipline that he's giving to himself to make himself ultimately a better player. You know, this is what the Chargers have been waiting for. This is what the fans have been waiting for to see from Melvin Ingram since he was drafted from South Carolina, you know, a couple years ago. So, you know, risk reward, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would say, hey, go ahead, sit out the next 2 preseason games. You know, don't risk anything because you're too valuable to the pass rush for sure. But give him one more game. I would like to see especially what you do against a mobile-type quarterback. And we've discussed this a bunch of times that the Chargers historically have been beaten by mobile quarterbacks. When it's straight pocket passers, they can have an advantage, especially if they can generate a pass rush. But in terms of containment, let's see what you can do against Russell Wilson. And what he, remember, let's not forget, we played them early on in the season last year. And he was able to make certain plays against us because of that very fact in non-containment. Same thing happened with Colin Kaepernick late in the season last year. So give Melvin Ingram one more game, and then sit him out for week 4, and then let's let him loose come week 1 against Detroit.
I'm going to ask you kind of a real broad question here, and it's the status of the San Diego Chargers secondary. Jason Verrett didn't play, so is he going to be playing this Saturday, and when are we going to see him back out there? Chris Davis, he had the concussion. He hasn't played. Should he start to be worrying that he might have a little bit of trouble making the team now? And then the man that everybody loves to hate, the man who had a really bad first day of practice and everybody's hated him ever since, Craig Mager. He went out there and he looked solid to me. You know, like I said, I'm not a scout or anything, but he certainly looked like he was in position to make plays. He looked like he belonged out there. I haven't seen anything bad from him really in the preseason so far. Basically, the overall status of the secondary, what do you say?
I say the secondary right now is still very, very solid. You know, luckily it's one of the deepest positions on the roster. Jason Verrett will go this Saturday, and which is good because you want to put someone like that, again, like we keep saying this in repetition, against competition like that. You know, if you want to go up against one of the best in the league as far as a team in an offense that can move the ball, you know, they can do it well. They're a physical team, and Jason's a physical cornerback, so give him tests like that. And if Russell Wilson happens to break away, see what Jason Verrett's containment is like on the outside. He needs to be tested like that against a quarterback like Russell Wilson and some of the wide receivers. And, of course, you know, the new acquisition in Jimmy Graham. Let's see what he can do against him if it ever comes to his side of the field. In terms of Chris Davis, if he misses this game, it's definitely a concern in terms of him making this team because obviously you need to be out there. You need those type of reps. And I was extremely disappointed to see him go down the way he did because I thought he was having actually a great first preseason game. And, you know, he's been one of the toughest workers since he came on the team last year. And you definitely saw that. And he had a definite opportunity to overthrow Steve Williams, who was having an atrocious game in week 1. So he had a great opportunity there. And, of course, you know, if he was able to sidestep that concussion and make it into week 2, he probably would have, you know, progressed even further. But you obviously need to be out on the field to get an opportunity like this. And in terms of Craig Mager, you know, I kid you not, it seems like to me that the kid just keeps growing in game situations every single week. I thought he had a great first week of the preseason. And if you really go back and think about it and you watch the tape, he helped save the game for the Chargers in terms of the win column because he made a great pass deflection in the end zone for what was looking like it was going to be a touchdown. So Craig Mager was, you know, and ended up being an asset to the Chargers ultimately winning the game. And I know that, you know, you look at it in retrospect of where it happened and possibly not, you know, if one thing could have led to another, but you can see that he's starting to come along, and, you know, time is and repetition and playing time is definitely making him a better player out there. So And I've even heard recently that the practice reports on him have been more positive than they were a couple weeks back. So you're kind of getting to see a little bit more of what you wanted to see, even from a raw cornerback that you invested a third-round draft pick in.
Hey, Jake, assessment of the offensive line as a whole through 2 games. Obviously, we're probably going to see a little bit more out of them this coming Saturday night. I think we've seen some highs and lows. I think we've seen some good and bad. I think Fluker's made some good blocks, and I think he's looked a little lost at times. There's some, as a whole, Jake, what's your assessment? And are we jumping the gun? Should we wait until this 3rd preseason game to really judge him?
It's funny, even though you have so much new faces, or so many new faces, and such a different personnel group on the offensive line from this year as opposed to last year, the Chargers were having the same problem preseason last year. And it was really in week 3 that you saw Brandon Oliver emerge, and you saw even Marion Grice in the 3rd preseason game have a good one. And it really kind of came down to who was going to win that last running back spot, and it was ultimately going to depend on the last preseason game as far as, who was ultimately going to make the roster. But again, all of that production starts up front. So I think, we've been talking about this, how Mike McCoy and Coach Joe D like to move around the combinations of the offensive line. And they do that for those skill positions, and in case for those injuries that happen during the season, you can have one guy play multiple positions. So I think they're obviously still gelling. It definitely needs and requires improvement for them to ultimately be ready for the regular season. So at this point right now, through 2 games, Brandon Oliver was able to make certain moves in week 1 that looked good. He was definitely the best running back that was out there, and they were able to punch it in twice with him and Danny Woodhead. Week 2 was definitely a big step in the wrong direction. So you need to take what you assess from that, and you ultimately need to get better. And it's definitely, in terms of the Chargers making a leap forward, it's a good test to do it for this week. Not only is it week 3 because you have all the starters in there, but because you're going up against Seattle. And the one thing they're the best at, like we've said, they are good at stopping the run. So you have to make a jump here. You have to make some progress. It doesn't all need to come together in this one game because it's still a road of attrition, learning, and developing against new personnel that's around you. So ultimately, we'll see what these next 2 weeks hold. But they've obviously made it aware that it's something of concern, and they're going to fix it.
Hey, Jake, it's Michael. I know we hardly speak, but it's okay.
Mike's here. Mike's here.
We don't let him talk.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I finally got my mic to plug in. They unplug it every time. They unplug it every time you call. Hey,
I was just going to say, Mike should actually get an opportunity. Like Jason did, to host a show one time.
I agree. Agreed. It'd be the best show ever.
So he can talk.
Second best. Second best.
Hey, so we actually have a question in the chat room, and I'm taking it from Supercharged in the chat room, but I want to see what your thoughts were. Especially, I thought it was a good point to bring up. Is how has Ladarius Green been looking, especially since we're going to be missing Antonio Gates for a while? I know stats aren't popping up, but aren't eye popping. But like I said, we have to be ready for that for those couple of games where he's going to be gone.
He's kind of been a phantom through the first 2 weeks, hasn't he?
Kind of like last year.
I think he had 1 catch during week 2 in that game, and that was all you really saw of him. And to be honest with you, if the plan is to unleash him on the NFL come week 1 for those first 4 weeks, then I say keep doing it. You don't want to give any other team out there any other possibility of knowing what he's going to do. And let's not forget, the Chargers aren't opening up the entire playbook on either offense or defense through the preseason. They're just not going to show all their cards. So it may be all part of a strategy as far as what they are doing in order to, maybe keep Ladarius Green underneath the radar in terms of what's happening. Or maybe it's just one of those types of cases where when he's in there, he's covered, or the quarterback doesn't see him. Who knows? All of it could be in the same type of situation. as far as why he's having a very quiet preseason. I don't think it's anything to be concerned from him because you've obviously heard about the hard work that he's been doing in terms of stepping up in the absence of Antonio Gates. And it's a contract year for him, so he has to make the most of it. And he's got the best opportunity possible 2 weeks from now. So I think we're all going to be pleasantly surprised once we start to see those results and once you start to see him get involved with Phillip Rivers out there.
You know, another position that has been a concern for us is defensive line. You know, Philon had that really, really good, nice sack, but he also had some really good push, I thought. Carruthers, I think, has looked good so far from what I've seen. Overall, how has the defensive line looked, and what's your thoughts on that, and should we have any concern about that?
I think that the concern should be very minimal at this point. I mean, this is what you want to see. This has been one of the weakest points of the Chargers team the last couple of years is getting that push, aside from Corey Liuget, from your guys up the middle. And, you know, it's great to see linebackers like Kyle Emanuel, Melvin Ingram, Jerry Atauchu, these guys comes up and, you know, be able to shrink the pocket, come off the edge, and either force a running back in a different direction or sack a quarterback. But ultimately, if you want to become dominant in both the run game and defending the pass, you need to generate pressure with your front four. And to see the type of production and the leaps and bounds that not only Ryan Carruthers is making in his second year, but you see a 6th-round pick in Darius Philon use what he is known for, and that's his quickness. Like I said, he's built a lot like Kenny Palpoy or Ryan Carruthers, that he's not the biggest guy along the defensive line. He's obviously not Jamal Williams. So he's going to beat people with what he's good at, and that's his speed. And he used a combination of both, where he used his speed and his strength on that sack, was able to force the offensive lineman back and then get off the block and put the quarterback in the ground and cause a fumble on top of that, which unfortunately was recovered. So you like to see the production of these young guys, especially when you see these far down draft picks and making an impact like this early. You know, it's almost, you know, it's a double-sided coin. You lose Kenny Palpoy for the year, unfortunately, but now you really get to see what you have in Darius Philon. So the defensive line, especially, you know, growing with the veterans that are already there and the way that John Pagano plans on using the personnel in his particular way in the hybrid 3-4, 4-3 defense, you hopefully that this trend is going to continue throughout the regular season. So the arrow is pointing up as it relates to the defensive line right now.
All right, Jake. I think there's a conspiracy going on with Tyrell Williams. I think Brad Sorensen missed him like 3 times, and one of them was for a touchdown. Made some good plays on a couple balls. Liked the way he was catching the ball in the second half. Gosh, I wish he could have got more opportunities. I hate to say it. I don't know if he's going to be able to make this team, but just the way, you know, Pettis looks and all that. But the kid, he has some potential there, and I hope he doesn't just make the practice squad because he'll be gone in a heartbeat.
You know, he had an opportunity, and I believe it was just after he had caught the slant pass over the middle that
right.
It looked like he got horse collar down, but pulled down by the jersey, but he was able to convert the first down. Remember, the very next play, they ran the same route for Tyrell. And he was right there, the pass was thrown perfectly, and he decided to look downfield before the ball got into his hand. And I kid you not, if he had caught that ball, he may have been gone, and we may be talking about him today rather than Josh Lambo. So I'm with you. I am pulling for Tyrell Williams to make this roster, but when it comes up to clutch opportunities like that, you have to make those type of catches.
Yeah.
And especially when there isn't a defender within 5 feet of you, you have to make those catches. So, you know, that's part of the rookie learning curve. He's got 2 weeks to correct it. As it stands right now, Austin Pettis is the number 6 receiver on the depth chart and in the lead as far as making this team as a wide receiver. So, you know, again, there's so much more competition.
Hey, Jake, how's that going to...
Tyrell's going to have to go.
Sorry to interrupt. How's that going to work? Because Jacoby Jones is ultimately going to be a kick returner, punt returner, and I don't know how much we see him in the offense. I mean,
I bet we do.
I'm sure we will, but How much though? I mean, would you trust more of an Austin Pettis type in the offense compared to a Jacoby Jones? What's your thing on that, and your thinking on that? And also, do you think it'll be 6 wide receivers, or could you possibly be 7? Maybe they don't keep an extra punter or kicker just because they're so loaded at the depth there. What do you think?
It's all really going to come down to where is the position that you need most. And between now and the end of Week 4, when final cutdowns come down, we don't know where the Chargers are going to say, hey, we need to bolster our roster somewhere else. At the very least, I would think that they would keep 6 receivers. If all stands pat the way it is right now with the way the roster is, I would still think that they would want to put one of these 4 guys, neither Austin Pettis, Javonte Herndon, and Titus Davis, or Tyrell Williams, as the 6th receiver spot. You already know who your top 5 are going to be. Going back to Jacoby Jones, we had discussed his outlook in terms of what he would be in the offense other than just a kick returner. I still project him to see at least 15 to 17 snaps throughout the game. Is he going to get 15 to 17 targets? Absolutely not. But I would like to think that this is another aspect of the Chargers not fully showing their hand in terms of what they're going to be doing and how they really want to integrate him into the offense. So it really comes down to, what do the Chargers feel like they need more? And I still believe that there will ultimately be 6. I can't see 7 wide receivers on the roster, unfortunately, as much as I would like to keep every one of these guys, as good developmental players. But it's just not going to be it's not going to be 7 wide receivers. You need, more bodies elsewhere, unfortunately. So, as it relates to Austin Pettis, if he can continue this trend of doing what he's doing, because he obviously made catches in clutch situations last week as well, and he's definitely looked good throughout the preseason practices. So time will tell when it comes on the wide receivers, but like I said, the time's ticking now. So if we want Tyrell Williams, which I know has been a fan of mine and yours for several weeks now, he's got to jump up and make some plays in order to unseat somebody.
Jake, we're going to flip over to the defense because that's what we do best, and answer one of Geppetto's questions on Twitter sphere. As far as the cornerback positions, there's a lot of battles going on there as well. Basically, he wants to know, getting down to the nitty gritty, where does Mager fit in? Does he make the team just because he's a 3rd-round pick?
The way Mager is looking right now, I say he makes the team. If you took the early analogies that some people put in there as far as the projected 53 roster that was going to be in there, some people didn't think that Mager was going to make this team. And you had guys like Steve Williams, making the team over him, or Richard Crawford even making the team over him, just because the defensive backfield now is so loaded. But it's quite the vice versa of what you've seen that now. Now it's Mager making the plays where Williams has kind of taken a big step back over these last 2 weeks. I didn't even really see him in week 2 in terms of his playing time and what he was doing up there. So, when it really comes down to it, I don't think it's just for the value of him being a 3rd-round pick, but for the fact that you're definitely seeing production out of him. And he didn't have as many plays as he did in week 1 of the preseason. I thought he made more in week 1 than he did last week. But again, it's just this constant repetition of development. Everybody knew when Craig Mager came in here that he was a raw defensive back coming from a small school type of team. He was kind of a big fish in a little pond in that type of aspect. But you can see that the want and the desire is there. He's definitely making some clutch plays in certain situations that he needs to ultimately make. They may not be the biggest play. They may not be an interception or a pick 6, but he's doing the things that he needs to do in order to catch the coach's eye and ultimately make his team. So when I think it comes down to it, if he can keep up this consistency, I think he's got more than a great shot of ultimately making this roster, and not just because he's a 3rd-round pick.
Well, I got one more quick little question, and then we'll ask what your thoughts are going into the 3rd preseason game and what we as fans need to be looking for. But the first question I want to ask before that is the same thing that I asked you earlier, except about Dontrell Inman. He's had looks like a little minor. I don't want to say minor. He had himself a bit of a concussion or some sort of a head injury. He hasn't really shown stood out to me, to be honest with you, in the games that I've seen him play. Is there a chance he doesn't make the team? Should he be worried? And is he going to be playing this Saturday night? And then what do we need to be looking for as fans for this Saturday night's game?
I didn't even see how Dontrell Inman had got concussed, but apparently, it did happen, unfortunately. And it looked like, especially during that last 2-minute drive, he was telling Clemens' favorite wide receiver. So the balls were definitely coming his direction. I ultimately think that Dontrell makes this team based off of already what he's proven, and the hard time that he had to go through last year, and taking that time and that discipline to develop under Eddie Royal, and seeing the type of work ethic that he put in. I think he's already in reality proven himself to the coaches. And no matter what it is that you're seeing from him right now, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like Dontrell Inman's not catching anything that's coming to him or making certain plays. So he's not stinking up the joint. So I don't think he has anything really to worry about. It's unfortunate that if he doesn't practice this week, which I don't believe he will for concussion protocol reasons, that he won't be out there for week 3. But it just means that come week 4, if he suits up, he definitely needs to kind of remind everybody, I think, if the ball gets thrown his direction, why it is that they're going to be keeping him on this roster. So I still think his roster spot is secure at as the number 5 guy. So I don't think he really has anything to worry about. In terms of expectations and what people are working for, we talked about it earlier. I think the run game is number 1. You want to see, the running game just at least develop. It doesn't have to come out and set the world on fire for 125 yards. I don't believe that that's going to happen. But you want to see some progression at least in the right direction. You want to see the offensive line be gelling together and working as a cohesive unit. And you're going to start seeing the type of combinations and units, I think, really come into shape here in terms of ultimately what's going to be ranked along the depth chart and who's going to be the first team, second team, third team in the offensive line. We obviously want to see what Melvin Gordon's going to do because we haven't seen too much of him in the preseason. Let's see what he can do against one of the best run defensive teams in the league. Another guy who's been surprisingly quiet that really nobody's talked about is Stevie Johnson. I'd like to see his involvement in the offense as well. Let's get him involved into it and, kind of get away from the Malcolm Floyd and the Keenan Allens and the names that we already know. Let's see what this actually looks like with Stevie Johnson when he can go out there and catch a couple balls. From the defensive side, you need to contain Russell Wilson. And for a factor of how much the reputation of the Chargers having that problem throughout several years, they need to create pressure. Saw what it did when they were able to do that last year in week 2. They were able to really fluster Russell Wilson, so they need to do that again. In the running game, the run defense I thought was atrocious last week. Duke Johnson, a rookie, ran wild on the Chargers defense last week. You need to shore up that running game. And again, keep up the defensive back consistency in terms of the pass defense. It's looked pretty good so far. It's kind of been a still bend but don't break, but let's keep the consistency going. Let's not take a step in the wrong direction. And hopefully, as we all know, no injuries.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah, that is the most important thing, is the no injuries. And I'm happy you brought up Stevie Johnson because he was interviewed during the game. And I don't know if he was kidding or not, but he actually, to me, seemed like he is a little bit frustrated that he hasn't had a chance to go out there and do something. Like I said, I'd be happy if he had no catches in the preseason as long as he comes out and plays like we all expect him to and doesn't get injured. But once again, we're gonna wrap things up. We actually have another phone call coming in about 5 minutes. But we're as we are enjoying every single second of the preseason, we are looking forward to each and every game and looking forward to the season starting. We're enjoying everything so far, and we're happy that the third game is coming up. That's supposed to be the game that most of the starters come in and play. Is there any articles that you have written or anything coming in the future that we need to be looking for?
We've got some good pieces lining up. More player profiles that will be created. Definitely get some good stuff that's going to be generated out there that we can talk about in these next couple of weeks for sure.
Well, Jake, as always, man, we appreciate you for taking the time, for being the regular Chargers insider for the San Diego Sports Junkies. As always, man, we appreciate your time. We wish you a good week, and we can't wait to talk to you same time, same place next week.
Absolutely, guys. Definitely appreciate the time. And Michael, talk more next time, buddy.
We'll do, buddy. We'll do. Thank you.
You woke him up.
You just have to take his cell phone away.
I'm just kind of hearing your banter, dude. So, like, next week, like, just
Yes.
interrupt Josh, Jason, the rest of these guys.
I'll try, man. I'll try. They don't let me speak much.
We just have to take his cell phone away. He's engrossed in it.
Notes, take over the chat room. Just, if you want it to, be just a one-on-one banter between you and I, make it that way.
I will.
You can notice the love between the two writers here. That's the thing. They got their little. They're all part of their little fraternity, and we're all on the outside. Just the two little writers on the inside.
You guys should go out to lunch soon.
Hey, nothing's better than the four horsemen that I get to talk to every week. So that's always enjoyable. So I'll see you guys next week.
We appreciate
Jake.
that.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
See ya.
So that was Jake Hefner from ProFootballSpot.com. You can check out his articles and insight here each and every week, same time, same place. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have Mickey Koch calling in to talk some Padres baseball, looking at September call-ups. So we're going to talk about that and more just after the break. This is Josh and Mikey from the San Diego Sports Junkies. We are teaming up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of San Diego County to make a difference in kids' lives.
In 2014, Big Brothers Big Sisters provided more than 1,700 children with supportive mentoring relationships that created a positive change in their lives.
This year, our goal is to make a difference by giving more than 1,800 children a big brother or a big sister.
You can do your part by going to SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com and purchasing one of our One Before I Die t-shirts, where we will donate 20% of every purchase to this great cause.
For more information on how you can become a big brother or big sister, visit sdbigs.org and help the San Diego Sports Junkies make a difference in a child's life today.
Cali Comfort Barbecue in Spring Valley was built for West Coast Sunday morning football and fight night. Cali Comfort Barbecue has quickly become San Diego's slow smoke barbecue sports entertainment destination. Full service catering available for all your tailgating needs. CaliComfortSD.com.
You need help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging, from business cards to the bigger projects. SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right.
Are you a San Diego sports fanatic or looking for a user-friendly sports platform to voice your opinion? Then visit us at SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com or message our lead editor on Twitter at Mike_SDSJ. You'll soon be showing the world your passion for San Diego sports on our blog.
Also listen to our live podcast every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific. We are a show for fans, by the fans. Talking Chargers, Padres, Aztecs, and anything San Diego sports. All right, guys, we are back, and we have a new face to the show. We got Mickey Koch joining us to talk some Padres baseball. You can follow him on Twitter at Mickey Koch. Mick, welcome to the show, bud.
Hey, fellas, how you doing?
Good, man. I'm excited to talk some Padres baseball. We don't get We don't get to do that a whole lot around here. There's not as much fandom as the Chargers bring, so we're kind of excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate you guys taking me on. I mean, it was a little busier earlier in the year. It's kind of, come down a little bit since the melee of trades, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Well, just so you know, Mickey, this is Jason here, and I'm the only junkie left that still thinks that the Padres got a shot at making the playoffs.
Not true, man. Not true.
The rest of these
very
guys
true.
have broken their ankles jumping off the bandwagon. I'm saving the seats for when they jump back on.
I
'cause
still got a good arm.
I'm driving that sucker.
hey,
First of all, do you think there's a chance
I'm kind of
to?
with you. I mean, at this point, it's kind of double down, So I think they got an outside shot, and it's kind of ironic that the National League West is looking a little bit more promising in the wild card.
Yeah.
So that's
Funny, huh?
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing is right now it looks like the Giants and the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks are all choking it away. They all have their issues. The Dodgers, the bullpen's been killing them. The Giants, the hitting and injuries.
The crazy part is the Giants haven't caught the Dodgers yet, and it's been a flux of just losses, and it's crazy to think, on this little streak we've gone, Mickey. It's crazy to think we're still mathematically in this thing with a month of baseball left, and I mean it can happen. Crazier things in baseball have happened.
Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado 7.5 games back is really not that much if the teams in front of you are going to keep faltering like they are. But we still have to win series, and ultimately we got to take some sweeps here. That's the way we're going to get there.
And the Padres are, Pat Murphy's finally bringing the Padres back to Bud Black level.
Yeah, finally.
Getting them back to 500.
First of all, what was your thoughts on that initially, and what are your thoughts on it now? The letting go of Bud Black and bringing in Pat Murphy. What do you still feel the same way as you did when it happened, or has your thoughts changed on that?
I do. I think that. I think that. I think it was a tough decision for AJ. I think, I think when you started to look at it in a whole, I think that when you start thinking that he's not the guy and the club chemistry isn't there, I think that was a big part of it. I think when AJ looked at it, I think he thought that the club wasn't going to come together. It wasn't meshing. It wasn't gelling. And so he decided to make a change. And I think, initially, I think there was a little bit of a backfire, but it didn't work out as smoothly as I think he would have liked. But
what are your thoughts on that? Mickey, I don't want to interrupt you, but that's what people are talking about, too. You just hit it. People are saying this team wasn't put together right. I hear that all the time. Pieces weren't put together right. For me, personally, this team was just constructed great. Anytime you upgrade like we did in the offseason, I'm ecstatic because we haven't seen this ever in Padres history. But as a whole, a lot of people said these pieces did not fit together, and like you said, didn't mesh well. Are you a proponent of that, or do you think time will ultimately tell, and maybe into next season if this thing will finally work?
Well, I think first thing to kind of look at is AJ made these trades not just for this season. He brought in a core of young guys. Derek Morris, Will Myers, Kimbrel is young, and in Kemp, I know he's 30 now. So, but I mean, and hips aside, but they're looking at 2016 too in the All-Star game. We're hosting the All-Star game here, so it's not just about you don't invest that much money, for just a half a year. So to me, it was interesting to hear the national reports, the national media talking about how they're going to shed payroll, and that's a joke.
Yeah.
To invest all that, to trade away Trey Turner and Fried and all these promising prospects and top guys, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think there's a lot of promising pieces, and to go back to the point about being so close, despite so many injuries and like Morrow but Myers was just a key component earlier in the year, and he's been out how long? So how do you do in the lineup? What are we looking at? I mean, how many wins? That's impossible to say, but and he's we're a much better ball club when he's on the team, so whether he's at first base or in left field. I mean, I didn't like him in center field. I'm sure you guys would agree.
Right.
But I also didn't see him losing many games in center field.
Right.
Well, the thing is, one of the did I just cut off Mikey?
That's okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the finger.
It's per usual.
I didn't see the finger.
That's because it's attached to his cell phone.
Go ahead, Mikey.
Mickey, I was going to ask. I mean, that's the one thing that we kept talking about during the trade deadline was that, all this talk about, shedding these pieces that we just acquired seemed crazy. It seemed like there's no long-term plan. Do you think that the team has a good, solid, long-term plan moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think the good long-term plan is to, accrue as much talent as you can and keep flipping them like AJ might do. I think to me, and I keep thinking about it over and over again, there's a lot of value on this team. Maybe maybe it needs to be distributed differently. Maybe the pieces need to be, they need to shuffle the deck. But to me, there's a lot of value to flip and reallocate certain money and put it into other players, whether it be a free agency or not. So that's the way I look at it. These guys have massive value. Shields maybe not as much right now, but Kimbrel, he hasn't lost value. I mean, he's been dominating since what, May? I mean, he had that one maybe pickup in April. So these guys have value. Norris he's come back around and he's playing stellar defense. So, and even Renfroe, scout I talked to said that he hasn't lost any of his stock. His stock's about the same. So I think that they have quality pieces, and these guys are young, and I think that they're just going to reallocate some of those guys and some of the money and, fit certain guys in different places.
One guy that isn't young, and that's been kind of disappointing to me, and I'm not going to bag on the guy or anything. James Shields recently hasn't been as durable and
it's been durable.
Okay, sorry, not durable. Wrong word. He hasn't been as consistently. Not really in deeper into games. He hasn't gone the 7 innings we thought he might go consistently this year. I think he struggled a little bit. The home run balls really killed him this year. A guy that is a little aged, Mickey, and I know you follow Padres baseball like no other. We follow you on Twitter. Your perception of James Shields, because coming in, we bona fide ace was thrown around a lot, and is he pitching like a bona fide ace? He does go out there every 5th day. He gives you innings. Would you consider that a win for AJ Preller, or is he kind of second guessing that contract right now?
Oh, I think he's second guessing it. I mean, I thought from the beginning that it would be a strong staff, but I was sort of always championing for maybe a Hamels. I know that was probably a reach, but I never saw him as a true ace, and I thought that was going to be an issue because with Ross and Cashman, I thought, and maybe even Kennedy, I thought you're probably looking to some regression. I thought that was kind of obvious. I mean, there was a potential for them to really, their ceiling is so high, but they did so well last year. It was hard to imagine all those guys clicking on, the same cylinder, so, and continuing that success. But that said, Shields has been very disappointing. I don't think they can move him right now, even on waivers maybe, unless they're just cutting the losses. I don't see that happening. They're probably going to ride it out, see if there's, any interest in the off season where they can, take that money and reallocate it and maybe put in another. This isn't a good free agent market, so they could do that. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that happen.
Yeah, you mentioned Cole Hamels, and looking at the contracts and stuff like that. I always look at. Obviously, he's not earning. He's not. I always thought when they signed him, I thought they didn't have to pay him that much because his interest had really died down. But you look at Hamels. If we could have got Hamels, I mean, we'd be paying him almost the same thing that you're paying James Shields, and you're getting a much better pitcher. for a longer time, especially compared to he's tied up for the next 4 years when you have Kershaw making pretty much $31 million a year. So it's almost like, Hamels fitting a good spot. So I totally agree with you there. I mean, and I just want to add the fact that I really felt that the Padres overpaid for him when, the interest had really died down. It was late in the offseason. Outside of some teams talking about Shields, there wasn't really a lot of traction there for him to get that big contract. So I see the part where they may be over rethinking that contract because I think they overpaid at that time too.
Before you respond to that, Mickey, I want to take the opposite view and say that I think that we're a little bit over halfway through one season. And to decide that was a bad contract, I think is way too early.
Hey, Positive Patty.
And Positive Patty's my name here.
Positive
and
Patty.
I also think that if we were to trade him now or even after the first season, that just makes it that much harder for us to actually sign ourselves a big name free agent if we build the reputation of a team that that signs guys and then trades them right away. What's the point of signing there if I'm just going to be traded?
Sure, that's a valid point that it's been discussed kind of ad nauseum on Twitter and other social media platforms. Is they signed him to anchor the staff and he's going to be the leader, and you trade away that guy. What kind of message does that send? And I see that point of view. That said, I'm not sure I buy into anyone at the Padres ever having difficulty attracting pitchers to Petco Park, albeit even as it's changed. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but I do agree that's not sending the best message. Although you see other teams turn over rosters much more. Billy Beane does it, and other small markets. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm undecided. I don't know. I'm not so sure how that'll play out, but I do believe in AJ Preller, despite some of the gaps that have gone on. I think that he's a very sharp dude, and I'm super interested to see what he's going to do in the offseason.
I totally agree, Mick. I think that AJ Preller has a plan, and I hope it includes Justin Upton. That's my opinion. But I want to talk a little bit of the September call-ups. We're just a week away from that happening. Obviously, some of the names that you might expect to be called up, Liriano, maybe a Hunter Renfroe, Cody Decker even. But before you answer who you think might be coming up, whatever happened to Tommy Medica?
Ever since that video surfaced, have you guys seen that video?
No.
He's in some music video. Yeah.
Yes. Was he in a band? Is it a?
I don't know what it was.
I
couldn't even summon.
Yeah, there was some African American girl that he was in a video with.
Is it an AC/DC Wretch tribute band type thing at a local bar? Maybe karaoke night. No, it's just some video surfacing.
It's that's a video, and I don't know what's happened to him, and I think, I haven't followed him too much because there hasn't been much to follow, frankly. So
yeah,
I always kind of saw other guys on the depth chart ahead of Tommy. Anyways, I mean, I saw Tommy kind of as an all or nothing type dude with some pop that. He's gonna get some base hits, but is he gonna anchor first base? No, he's not a great defender, and
maybe he's just priming up for his band career. That's an option.
He's getting ready. That's right.
What's your thoughts on Hunter Renfroe getting a little hot now? Do you see maybe a guy like Hunter getting a call up?
I think that's a possibility. I think they might look at his clock. Maybe they don't want to start it in September. Maybe wait until next year because he's had some. Even though he's hot and I think he hit 3 home runs in 5 games or something like that.
He's been killing it.
He's been on a tear. Triple away from the cycle, I think. What his debut in El Paso.
Right.
But I personally don't think that they're going to call it. We already have kind of a lot of position players to look at now, including Jankowski, of course, now that he's up, and BJ kind of clogs that area.
Myers potentially coming back.
Maybe if Myers comes back, you got another guy. And Liriano, as you mentioned. I think we're going to see pitchers, unlike some of the other years where we saw a flurry of, players brought up. I think we're going to see John Edwards, who's in the player to be named later in the Rangers trade. He's got a live arm. We're going to see that guy. I'm pretty sure about that. I think we're going to see Corey Mazzoni again. He was Alex Torres trade. He's got another live arm. He didn't have any success up here in limited time, but I'd be shocked, frankly, if they didn't bring him up. And there's another guy that could be brought up. His name's Caleb Silbar. He was in the Twins organization. He's another lefty that would provide sort of, someone else other than Frank Garces, which has just been pretty flat this year, as you guys know. So as far as position players go, we'll see Will Middlebrooks back up, and probably Alex Dickerson at the left-handed bat. Maybe Liriano, but I'd be a little surprised by Renfroe, but it wouldn't shock me. I'd love to see it, frankly, but where's the room going to come from,
Will Middlebrooks, I was going to ask you about next, and you just brought him up. He was one of the trades that, looked at the beginning like it was a really good move, and then he just faded and died out, and they eventually sent him down. A couple questions for those who haven't been paying attention. Do you know how he's doing down in AAA, and did you see much of a future with him, with the San Diego Padres?
With Mazzoni?
No, I'm sorry, Middlebrooks.
Oh, Middlebrooks. The upside, Boston didn't even want to give this guy up because of this guy's potential. His ceiling is pretty ridiculous, power-wise. And he's a solid third baseman. That said, as well as Solarte's playing right now, I mean, it's kind of in retrospect to wonder if he had that job in the beginning, as well as he's playing now, if we'd be in a better position. But I like the fact that A.J. Preller went after impact guys. Whether they worked out or not, I think that was paramount for him to go that route. And look, you still have him in the minor leagues, and you have Solarte playing. So we got him for a backup catcher, in Hannigan. So that was a win-win in my opinion.
And it worked out.
Hey,
go ahead.
That might not work out, but we gave a backup catcher.
Yeah, and it kind of worked out because now you have Hedges up there, and even though he's not doing great, he's getting the experience that he needs to play at the major league level. And I even though again he's not doing as well as obviously we'd like to see him right away. I still think there's a future for him.
Hedges is heated up. I've liked the way he's handled his opportunities.
He's steadily improved. He's not where we want him to be yet offensively, but he was what everybody said he was defensively.
Yeah.
And I think offensively he's looked much more comfortable up there, and he's not an automatic out anymore, and he certainly was his first month or two up here. So I think that Hedges has steadily improved, and that's really all you can ask from him.
I totally agree, and taking into consideration the lack of playing time, I think it's pretty incredible, really, that he's getting the looks that he's having at the plate. He's having good at bats, and I mean, he's not just an automatic out, but he looks confident. He looks good. He's trying to take the ball the other way. He's even spinning on some of those breaking balls, down in the dirt, and he wasn't in the beginning of the year. So I see improvement in him, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw, as I opined earlier on the chat, maybe Norris at first base to start the year next year. If Upton goes, if we can't sign him, and Myerson left, and Hedges behind the plate, but he's looking really good. I'm really excited for that kid, and it wouldn't even surprise me if we saw Norris dealt if his stock was as high as it was last offseason, which I think it is. You just never can know what A.J. Preller's going to do.
Hey, Mick, I want to pick your brain and kind of I want to hear your thoughts of what's going to happen, going into the offseason. Of the players that we currently have on the roster, who do you see starting next year who do you think of the players currently are going to be in the starting 9 next year?
Boy, I mean, it's really hard to say. Again, A.J. Preller, right? I mean,
I don't know, A.J. Preller.
You know, the national, the national media is kind of has no idea what he's doing ever, which I don't think makes him very happy. But you know, I think you probably pair both the catchers, the tandem you have right now. I think they're going to 2016 with both of those catchers, and Will Myers is going to be on this team. You can't trade him now. Stock wouldn't be as high, and he invested too much money. Would be surprised to see Kemp go anywhere. He's, kind of resurged, and so Upton, I'm not confident that they could re-sign him going up against other teams, but then again, his brother's here. I don't know if that's going to be a deterrent or, it's going to help, but
he really seems to like it here. I mean, he's made comments.
He does like it here in San Diego. He hits well in Petco, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see that. But then again, you have Renfroe. I'm high on Renfroe. I think he can be comparable in a couple years, but, that's in a couple years probably. Third base is a hole. I think Alonso's gone. I think Jane Kowski gets a legitimate shot at the center field job next year, with Upton, possibly being a platoon. And I know we all hate platoons, and we've been talking about it for years, the Venable, Denorfia, whatever combination. But, that could work pretty well, lefty-righty matchup. So I think you're looking at an outfield that's almost set. I think the black holes are shortstop, which is obvious. Starting pitching, I think they'll keep outing runs to the back of the bullpen, and Myers and left at first. I mean, I think that's what we're going to 2016 with. So.
Well, Mickey, we're gonna wind this part of the segment down, but you have the floor for the next roughly 4 minutes. Give us your final thoughts, Padres baseball.
Well, again, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Hey, Mickey, do you want to make this a weekly thing, bro?
We just jump up and do it like that. We could do that.
When we have you on for half an hour each week, do you want to do a Padre segment?
Yeah. Let's just jump right to it, Mickey. I mean, you're best friends now with Adam Schefter, so I mean, we gotta lock this up. Why the iron's hot?
Yeah, we gotta get you early signed.
My BFF.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I think the bottom line to take away from this year is that there's a lot of positives. AJ Preller, the ownership, the All-Star game. I know it's another year that seems to be kind of, walking in the mud. It's not going anywhere. But there's a lot of talent on this team, and it didn't click, and we're seeing some of that happen right now. And it hasn't, clicked on full cylinders pitching, and you'll see hitting here and there, but I think these pieces, getting Myers back, is going to be huge next year. I really think this kid can be just a star. And we saw part of that in the beginning of the year. When he was in this lineup, we were winning ball games, and the offense was like, 1 or 2 in all baseball. So
yeah, that was
offense was a juggernaut.
Well, yeah, he was leading the league in runs scored. He was a catalyst, and it was a big blow. But I agree with you, man. This team's going to be fine. I see all the positives going forward. I don't see the positives. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. That's just my opinion. But long shot. But overall, the changes have been great, refreshing. In the All-Stars here games here next year. It's going to be great. It's Padre baseball in a new era. It's fun to me.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll have Justin Upton next year and hit one up on top of that Western Metals building. That'd be pretty cool.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, man. Hey, well, thanks for joining us, Mickey. As always, hopefully you can join the show more call-ins and all, even in the chat room. We do talk quite a bit on Twitter. So it's what's your Twitter account again? It's at Mickey Coke, or is it underscore?
It's at Mickey Coke.
Okay, at Mickey Coke. So follow him. He's great. He has a lot of good opinions on the Padres. Whether you agree with him or not, he's got his opinions. So
somehow he got 50 cents in Schefter's pocket, and now he's his BFF.
Hashtag. So,
all right, fellas.
Thanks for joining us, bro.
Thanks a lot, Mickey.
Later, man.
Thanks, Mickey.
So that was Mickey Coke. You can follow him on Twitter at Mickey Coke.
I love the fact that he's not giving up. He's on board with me. Not that
Of
it's
course you do.
definite, but
positive.
Well, you gotta be. You gotta be. Justin made a comment a few weeks ago that the Padres did a good job this season getting us to the Chargers because usually they can't quite get us there. They run out of gas, and we have that.
They did.
The thing is I think that we're still going. The problem with the Padres is they're now playing like we expected them to play at the beginning of the year, and the problem is they actually need to play better than that if they want to.
Exactly my
that's
point.
the thing that you're saying is they're playing great, and
2 out of 3 is fine, but you got to win. You got to sweep.
And your opportunities are coming. You got 6 or 7 games
Yeah.
against the Dodgers.
Yeah,
you have
good
6
point.
or 7 games
Great
against
point.
the Giants. So your opportunities are coming, but can you take advantage of
When
those
you still got
opportunities?
a series against the Rockies, you got to sweep those teams. Sweep
Right.
them, not 2 out of 3.
See,
and
the problem
not
is
3 out
when
of
you
4.
win 2 out of 3 games, you only game one.
Exactly.
Game
Hey,
on
that's
them.
exactly
So
my point.
You're right. We're gonna
With
have
the
to get
Dodgers,
some-
we're going to have to sweep them and maybe take 2 out of 3 in the second series.
Well,
we're going to have to dominate them.
In beginning,
Same with the Giants.
Well, how long all year were you going? Where's our streak at? Where's this streak
Right.
coming? And maybe it's going to be at the tail end. Maybe they get super hot and they make a run. They're 2 games out with a week to play, and it just gets really interesting. And we go, "Wow, we're watching football." And we're watching baseball.
watching baseball,
which would
right.
be fantastic. I mean, as a San Diego sports fan, we dream about that
Right.
because it doesn't happen very often. So, I keep a little faith, but I don't see them making the playoffs this year.
Well, I think it's not the most likely scenario that they make the playoffs. But like I said, how exciting is it that I'm still excited that they
Intrigued.
had a chance, that they have a chance. I'm still
I'm
still
excited too.
watching the games.
Well, look.
I'm always telling you guys suck it when you guys are asleep.
Well, look at this.
I know. That is funny. We have a chat that we do between the 4 of us during the games, and we like to
Yeah.
razz. I like to razz Justin as much as I can,
And that's fine.
That's,
Because I'm the negative guy that wants real results, and
And,
you guys are kind of make believe results.
Right.
I mean, you guys are like hoping and dreaming, and I'm telling you, Kim sucks when he does,
I will
and
ag-
you guys are saying no, he's fine.
I will agree that we have different perspectives on
Exactly.
it, but I will not agree that what you said is correct.
Okay. Well, agree to disagree, my friend.
I'll agree with that, Jason.
Agree to disagree, just as Ron Burgundy says.
Yeah.
Yes.
But one thing, perfect example, real quick. Tomorrow, we got lucky today. Max Scherzer was scratched from the start. Did you guys even realize that?
Yeah.
He was supposed to start the game. They were saving him for the Mets series because they're going into a division rival. They're only a few games back, which I thought was stupid because you got to win the games in front of you, right? So
Not only that, but
for their part.
Okay.
So we win that game. Got to win tomorrow. You go on the road for 4. I think it's in Philly. You have to win these games.
You got to sweep
Well,
Philly.
Sweep Philly.
You have to
You know
sweep
what's
Philly.
funny? Okay, so tomorrow we play, and let's say we win. Okay, so we take 2 out of 3 against Washington, right?
Yeah.
How much better does it feel to win 2 out of 3 when you win the last 2? Because it seems like when you win the first 2 and you go into the third game thinking sweep and you lose,
Yeah.
you're all pissed
tough.
off and disappointed.
I agree with that.
But when you lose the first game, now you're like, oh, we're on. If you end up winning the last
Yeah.
2, you're like, oh man, we ended up winning the series after it's the same result and it feels different,
Right.
you know. So I think that's interesting, and,
Right. It is.
and I think it's unrealistic to just say we're going to sweep all these teams.
But the thing is,
But we need to. We can't be losing 2 or 3 in a row.
no, and
anymore,
a few
that's for
weeks
sure.
back, you come home after a good series, a few series, and you get swept by the Phillies. Now it's time for payback.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
That-
That's where that was a
That
backbreaker.
Philly sweep
That was
hurt,
bad.
That's for sure.
So we got another caller. I think this is Friar Blue calling in. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up? How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
man. So you've been chomping at the bit for hours. We appreciate you sticking around.
Yeah, I'm just really bummed right now on a issue that's a little different, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Is it all right? Can I tell you about it?
Yeah, sure, man.
Go ahead.
So, I'm a super fan for the Padres, the Chargers, and I picked USD to be kind of a small house team to like make it a big, big fan base for students. And I actually told the marketing guy that's no longer there anymore to start making it like FCSU, start making a student section, get it crazy. I dressed up as the Blue Man and wore the blue hair and the mask and all that. I don't know if you guys saw me at the Padre games or the Charger games. But I started going to USD. Well, actually, first I went to FCSU as the Blue Man, and I got thrown food at and sodas and all this, and said, we don't want a Blue Man here by the student section at first. But then that's why I kind of ended up hating FCSU. But I'm thinking maybe I might have to start going with that school if USD can't not be vanilla.
Right.
And not like the super hyped fans. And I've been hitting up the marketing guy for a while, and I'm not getting any responses. And I was told that I was going to see some tickets for life 2 years ago. So I'm actually bringing in the news. I'm going to call all the news stations and try to get a story about this because it's just wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
you were promised season tickets, you said?
Yeah, for life. And I basically set up that school. I set up their student section. Like literally, they started getting student section started because I told them that's how you get more people showing because it's more of a better atmosphere and vibe. And then when they start getting it big, I'm kicked out. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to text me. Nobody wants to hit me up on Twitter. Nobody wants to hit me on Facebook. I hit up with the players, and they're kind of ignoring me. When I talk to them in person, they're like, "Oh yeah, come, dude." And I'm like, "Can you get me tickets?" And they're like, "No," because I can't afford it.
Right.
I'm trying to rep my city hard. I'm trying to get championships. That's what I want more than anything.
Right.
And I don't want to go for a big powerhouse that has tons of fans because they already have that, and they're already loud enough. USD, they're not loud enough. And the minute they have someone that's loud enough, they say, "Oh no, it's not. It's too loud for us. We can't be a loud. We can't have that."
Right. Do you think it has to do with the guy being fired or leaving the position? Is that probably the big issue that's happening between you and the school?
Say that one more time.
Do you think it's between the issue that the marketing guy isn't there anymore that you were working with at first? Do you think that might be the issue with the school that's going on right now?
Oh yeah, it's definitely that. I was friends with them. They were setting up things. They were telling me to come in with the news and all that, and it's completely out of question. There's not even news or anything. And I got kicked out a softball game because the umpire made a terrible call, and I didn't say any profanity. I said that's terrible, and all of a sudden they kicked me out of the softball game, and then literally I was suspended for a month from going to any game.
Wow, man. USD is not doing right, man, and that's not going to help. It's not going to help. People want to go there. And it's unfortunate that when someone steps up and just takes personal responsibility, try to help out. Obviously, they're not paying you to do this. It's unfortunate that they just can't take that. Take that
passion,
that help, or just take someone's assistance and run with it. So USD do Friar Blue right, man. Do Friar Blue right.
Yeah, thanks for.
I know football. I know they're going to give me free tickets. That's not a problem.
Right.
But it's just like, do I really want to go to the school if marketing doesn't want me?
Right.
For sure, man.
No, we definitely appreciate the phone call, Friar Blue. We hope you have a good night and always contribute every week and join us in the chat room, buddy. We're going to take a couple more phone calls, and thanks again.
You are the best. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you,
pleasure,
buddy.
Man.
Take care.
Hopefully it works out for you, man.
All right, that was Friar Blue.
So I see him in the chat room quite a bit too.
Yeah, no, he's great.
So we love everybody who contributes.
Yes.
So we want to keep going Padres, or we want to go Chargers, or
I got a quick Charger thing. I got a quick Charger thing. Okay. So I actually did. You know me. I did some research.
You did?
Yeah.
You're the guy.
Yeah.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
That's what we pay you for.
We were talking about how teams don't carry 3 kickers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought back to when.
Well, I didn't say it never happened because I've seen it happen.
I said
remember. The Chargers are not going to do it. That's what I said.
So I was looking back. I was like, I know the Chargers have done
Chargers
this before.
did it before.
Yeah, right.
I think it was Mike Nugent. Maybe was one of them. No, maybe not.
Well, the one I went
Steve
to,
Christie,
the one I went to is when we had 2 punters.
Yes.
Oh, it was Darren
Bennett,
Bennett,
Mike
Cyphers. Was it Steve Christie?
I don't know who the kicker was. I didn't look that up. Come on.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
we had both of them on the roster for a whole season. That's right.
And Cyphers actually came into the game to hold for 6 games.
Okay.
To hold. So I was like,
That's because we drafted Cyphers like in the 5th round or
Isn't
something.
that terrible? We were that bad. We kept all those players on our roster.
Well, that if you
At the time.
have a roster that can have a kickoff specialist or 2 punters, that tells you don't have a really deep roster.
Right, that's what I'm telling you.
We
sucked ass.
We actually have some.
We
real
were 2
talent.
and 14.
Yeah,
that's good.
I remember.
Yeah, look at our kickers and punters over there. Those are good guys. Yeah, that punter's going to play defensive end.
You want to know how tough it is to be positive, Patty, during 1-15 and 2-14? It's
I was there, bro.
It's tough to be positive, Patty.
I remember Ryan Leaf
during those games.
You had a funny encounter the other day on Twitter. Guy John at me. He's a Cowboys fan, and he brought up some lame thing about Ryan Leaf. And
he was
like,
a Cowboy too.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And he's like, this now. Oh, he's the worst quarterback in history. You guys suck. So I sent him a picture of Ryan Leaf and a Cowboy. And
the funny thing is,
awesome.
after Ryan,
that was Facebook. I'm sorry.
After Ryan Leaf
Yeah,
came to San Diego and burned down our football program and burned it to the ground and played so bad and did everything bad,
and Dallas
the Cowboys
still took him.
signed him after that.
Right?
So
who's worse,
Jerry Jones?
We do get the credit for drafting him, and at the time, if you remember, everybody was like, "It's an either-or thing,"
It tells you right there how hard it was to replace Troy Aikman.
Yeah,
they're signing Ryan Leaf.
The fact that they're signing Ryan Leaf,
because you remember they did a quarterback carousel for years.
Now this Sunday we got something coming up here, don't we, Joshy?
Sunday
the 30th.
We have a draft.
Oh, fantasy!
Oh my goodness!
Oh, this guy's.
Oh,
all right, man. I'll take the lead on this.
Yeah,
one.
take the.
Go ahead. Hold on. Yeah, you are wearing the shirt.
Let's rewind the tape. You
He's
ready?
wearing the shirt. So
hey, Mikey, we got something coming up this Sunday the 30th.
You're talking about the fantasy league.
That's exactly
the
what
San
I'm
Diego
talking about.
Sports Junkies Fantasy League.
Yes.
So I believe
the league.
I believe it was last week when we asked to see if anyone was interested in doing a fantasy league, and some brave souls came out to take a whooping from Mikey. This season. I haven't even drafted my team yet, but it's going to be a whooping.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Sloppy's going to be in it.
First team out is that your team name, Mike?
No, man.
First team out.
My team is J-Bone Sucks.
Seventh
Yeah, I
place.
saw that.
J-Bone sucks.
I saw that, by the way.
You had to take J-Bone. I was like, I gave you enough time to change your name to J-Bone, and you didn't, so whatever.
I saw that.
Doesn't Jed Jerko look like a junior in high school that's going to his prom or something?
Did he hit 2 home runs yesterday?
I don't know. He needs to get in shape, though.
Yeah.
He's a baseball player.
I don't know. You don't need to be in shape to be there. He's not an athlete. He's a baseball player.
Yeah.
Sure.
So really quick, some of our friends that will be joining us this year and taking the whooping from
Sloppy's in
Mikey.
there?
Sloppy's in there. Supercharged is going to be in there, I believe. Correct?
You know what? I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so I've been asking Super. I don't know how many times to join the fantasy football league. But there's a guy in here, and I can't figure out who it is. It's #WeAreAztecs. It says Mike B.
That's my friend Mike. That's the one that you met at the game.
Okay, so
I thought it was Mike. Who are you?
So I thought that was Super the whole time.
Super's Chris.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway,
well,
I'm positive. Patty's.
Unfortunately, Super. I hate to break the news to you, but the league is full at this point. We're at 12.
Why don't we just make it a 20-team league now?
We're at 12.
12 is capacity.
Sorry, buddy.
Maybe next year we'll have a guy that does not want to play.
Yeah.
I mean, to my credit, I did beg him for a week to sign
to your credit, also you forgot a couple important people into the league.
I didn't forget Steve.
I still only see 2.
I would say otherwise. Hey, we're gonna make this a 12-teamer? Why? Because you forgot Steve.
So Mike B is We Are Aztecs.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's into
Who's I'm gonna slap you? Has anybody figured that out?
Yeah, that's
619
619_sports.
He's gonna slap us?
Steve-O's in there.
Not
Dick's
very
in
nice.
betweener.
Dick's in between.
Oh, Darren changed his names. I like that because he was
Sproles speech coach.
Yeah, I saw that.
Coach. That's nice.
That's awesome.
SoCal Trav is Jingleberries. Justin is the Positive Patties. Sloppy is Sloppy Seconds. Nice.
Nice. I gave him that nickname.
Mike Maciejewski is
Right here on
J-Bone
there.
Sucks.
J-Bone does suck.
Yeah.
Arturo Rosas. Arturo Rosas. Now, who's that?
Rosas. That's a friend of mine.
Okay. He's the Legit Melvins. Okay. And I'm in there, and I'm Suck It Justin.
Yeah.
Now,
not that a boy.
The amazing thing is in the past, every time we've ever talked fantasy, I always say fantasy football sucks because I've never liked it.
You're going to like it this year, my
I don't
friend.
know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be tough to draft because I don't know if I'm going to draft with my heart or with my head.
Don't worry, just go Jerry Rice.
Get all Charger
he's
players.
He's good, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Get Charger players, all of them.
Is Frank
Whole team.
Tarkenton off the board yet?
Oh, we haven't drafted, so he's still there.
You should take DJ Fluker in the second round.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, Jason, you should actually draft Randy Moss because he did mention that he was coming back.
That's right.
So, that could be an 8th round steal for you there.
So when we do our fantasy segment, because we're going to do a little fantasy
every
segment
week,
each week.
once
talking about our
week
league.
1 kicks off.
So I'm the guy who does not play any fantasy football, so I will be looking for
Probably
anybody.
the winner. He's probably the
Let me
winner.
tell you
Yeah,
this.
He's going to win the whole thing.
Anybody out there who's listening and wanted to get into the league but didn't happen to make it this year, and we're going to be doing this every year.
The problem is there's not going to be any Charger
I'll be
players.
taking your suggestions.
Yeah, you
for
should
my
Periscope
lineup.
it. You should Periscope the draft and have someone help you with your lineup.
Should I do that?
Yeah, that'd be kind
Okay.
of fun.
All right.
Have the listeners. I'm sure. There's a couple 5-year-old girls that can help you with that.
Yeah.
I know that thing
Every time I get on Periscope, everybody tells me to take my shirt off.
Oh, wow. You're like, no, please leave it on.
Yeah.
Please leave it on.
Yeah, it's so good.
I know.
But-
Hashtag boobs. You're like, no.
But for all my friends in the league that are listening that are not here, bring it, man. Side bets.
Well,
Every
we
week.
forgot to mention.
Side
We
bet.
forgot to
Side bet,
mention
so-
our fantasy corner show is going to be kicking back on,
Yeah. Yep.
and we forgot to mention Steve the Guru will be in the league. So
Yeah.
we have to be on the prowl. We have to make sure this guy doesn't win.
He damn well better win it.
Yeah,
and he's on my side of the conference, of course.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the divisions things, I don't really
I don't
like
know
it
how
very
that
much.
works either.
Yeah, that's just terrible.
We should just do a regular standings
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I'll change it, you whiny bastard.
Hey!
Hey,
Now,
settle
God, you
down.
don't get it.
Wow.
We're just
Family
making
show.
a suggestion here.
8:46.
Whiny
Josh
bastard.
starts cussing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 15 minutes till the show ends, he starts breaking out the profanity. What an asshole!
Everybody wants it their way.
You know what? One thing about this draft is going to be exciting all year. We get to talk maybe about 10 minutes and talk a little crap. But the best part is during the actual draft, there will be there won't be any Charger players left after the second round. This is a San Diego Sports Junkie fantasy draft. You'll have everybody from Nick Novak gone in the second round.
I know.
I doubt it.
I know.
No, I don't.
Yeah. I know Darren's
doubt
gonna
it.
go Chris Bryant in the first round.
And Sloppy, if you're listening, Sloppy, you can't take Yasiel Puig in the third round.
Let me
okay,
tell you
bro?
something. Nobody wants to take Yasiel Puig right now.
Yeah.
Clayton Kershaw
I don't even
cannot
think
be your quarterback.
I didn't think the Dodgers want Puig
They
right
don't.
Yeah,
They
well,
don't.
Well, we don't want him either. I was hearing those rumors a while back too.
Yeah. Really quick, so let's switch over to some Aztec basketball.
now.
So just want to update you guys with some Aztec news.
About time.
Because since last week.
Well, says the guy that's going to be an ASU fan.
yeah.
Mikey's 13 minutes of fame.
Here
Let's
we
go.
Arizona State University guy
Please,
over
let
here.
me slow down. there
Let's
for
get
you.
him a Sun Devil shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
He'll have enough, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Damn
Actually,
right.
wait, you're going to Tucson?
Huh?
You Tucson?
Oh, you'd be a Cats
Possibly.
fan.
Yeah, you.
I'm not going to be a Wildcats
U of
fan.
A.
Yes, you will.
No, I'm not.
You're a Sean Miller lover.
Hell no.
Yes, you are.
So really quick.
Bear down, bitch.
I would love to be there and watch the Aztecs kick their ass, though.
Wow.
All right, so as I was saying,
What were you saying?
quick update. Last week, the Jam Center opened.
Yes.
Again, my biggest thing.
Did you watch those videos?
Of course I watched it. Yes, it was great. The reaction of all the players was amazing. They're all excited. They're all interacting on Twitter, telling everybody how much they love it. But also this weekend you had a recruit quote unquote transfer visiting San Diego State, Montague Gil-Cesar from Missouri.
Bless you.
2016. He'll be eligible 2016. So
Transfer from Mizzou.
From Mizzou, he had to sit out a year, and then come in and sit out a year and come in and then
which is fine.
Start. Big time recruit. I think was ranked in the 30s back in 2014. Based on what I'm hearing and seeing. I before his trip, I had told someone 30% and rising, because Oregon was in the lead.
Was he after the Jam Center opened?
He was there for the grand opening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was there. Based on what I'm hearing and seeing, I'm hearing probably 50-50, if not the Aztecs are now in the lead.
Awesome.
For his commitment. The only issue is school's already started for SDSU.
Yeah.
So he has to be in before September 4th, which is the ad drop deadline.
So he has to commit quickly.
Yeah, and he was supposedly going to be looking at Iowa State too, but they also started the same day as the Aztecs.
Wow.
So to fill in a trip
which
there
is
would be
a
crazy.
program on the rise as well.
Yeah, but it would be just crazy to try to get in there and have to decide.
Yeah.
But Oregon starts in late September, so
he has more time.
So he has more time. So
they have the advantage, really.
They do have the advantage, but from what I'm hearing,
he likes it.
He liked it a lot.
And what we always talked about, and this will be short because we're getting ready to wind down, but what recruit wouldn't want to come to San Diego to get an education, especially at San Diego State, where you have a fan base already, and now you present a jam center with personalization of locker rooms, key card access codes with video screens, 2 courts you can go into anytime you want and practice.
Bikinis.
Yes, on the beach. You have things, amenities in San Diego. It's ridiculous that you can't persuade a guy to come here and play for you.
And all of that, and a legit team that goes to the
year in and year out,
that goes to the tournament every single year, and not like not like the number 1 team in the nation every single year, but they always,
but they're in the mix.
There's always a chance. There's always a chance with them. They're always good enough. There's always a chance.
Yeah. Also, to update, some more visits coming up this weekend. We have Jonah Matthews, who's a shooting guard. I believe is 6'4" shooting guard. Awesome recruit. I believe in anywhere in the 50 to 70 range. He would be a 4-star recruit. Good addition, might be up there. Also, Jalen McDaniels from Seattle. I'm sorry, Jalen Matthews is from California, down I think in the LA area. Jalen McDaniels, a power forward. He's a 3 to 4-star recruit, depending on who you ask. I'm not a fan.
I'm liking all these, Mikey, but you're kind of like, where does Michael Cage fit in?
We'll get there right now.
Because there's a lot of power forwards you're talking about here.
You have any predictions on him, by the way?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'll get that for you. Really quick, Jalen McDaniels, I do not like at all. Everywhere that I look, every major national scout analyst that I look at says he's the kind of guy you'd have to redshirt at a high-level program.
A Buda Jones type?
Like a San Diego State. So I'm not liking that. To me, there's no reason to bring this guy in. I mean, to redshirt him in 2016, unless you're going to already bring in Michael Cage and have Nolan Lorraine and then redshirt this guy for when, for the third year. So that would be the only, if they knew that was happening. Michael Cage, again, based on what I mentioned in one of my recruiting primers or recruiting reports, according to Eric Bossi, who's a national senior analyst for Rivals, San Diego State's the only team really on him hard.
Yeah.
So they must see something.
Arizona, as soon as they lost TJ Leaf, they jumped on another power forward with another offer right away. So it looks like they're not after Cage. Kentucky was the other team, and the last one's UCLA, and I just don't see him going to UCLA. UCLA is out of scholarships for 2016. They're actually looking at putting Steve Alford's son on as a walk-on because he gets free tuition.
How much longer does he have before he has to make a decision?
He has a long time, but usually November is the first one. Again, I was hearing late August, early September. As from what I've heard, there's no visit scheduled for him.
Have you? What would you say the chances are? Not good
for him to commit to us.
Yeah,
90%.
Yeah,
90%.
You think he does?
I think he does.
Follows his dad's footsteps.
Well, let me go beyond that. I know it's way too early for any of this.
Yeah.
When all's said and done, if you're correct, and we all believe you are because you're pretty smart
He's
guy,
the guru.
Yeah.
Do you think that his career in San Diego State will be an overall success?
I think so. You
don't think that the expectations are already way too high?
No, I think people have lowered their expectations because he continues slipping a little bit in the rankings. But I think he can have a good career. I think he can actually have a career where he ends up leaving to the NBA. I really do.
See, I'm wondering if, people like you and Justin and Josh, and not me because I don't pay as close attention, but like you guys understand that, and you guys kind of are tempering your expectations.
Yeah.
But people like me and other people out there are not tempered. They've got big expectations for this guy to come in here, dominate, and, go on to an NBA career.
Right.
And I'm wondering if before, if that all happens, if people are going to understand that or if they're going to be just super disappointed.
Right.
Yeah, no, that there might be a lot of people that think that way, and the expectation, especially people that saw Michael Cage play, will expect to see the same thing.
Yep.
But I mean, he has his own set of skills, and they will translate to the college game, and how he does from there, will depend on him and his hard work, and how much time he spends working in the Jam Center.
Yeah.
Josh.
Quick note: non-conference schedule is out.
Yes.
We play Kansas December 22nd.
Right before our first conference.
At home, right?
At home, December 22nd. Looks at Mountain West Missouri
y'all
Valley
tingly, doesn't
Challenge.
it?
Tingly.
ESPN
You got tickets to
College
that already,
Hoops
right,
tip-off.
Mikey?
Season tickets, buddy. Yeah.
Continental Tire
Now he's
Las
your buddy.
Vegas International. We're playing in.
Yes.
Invitational, I should
That'll
say.
be against Cal.
That's
We're
the
playing
international. We're
Yeah.
playing Spain.
Cal State San Marcos Exhibition is our very first game, November 2nd.
That's a
Right.
mop session. Mop.
Cal. Nah, Mom. That's probably the hardest of the cheat
Yeah,
teams that you play.
it's a mop session.
Dude, we beat him by only 30 last
I
time.
don't care.
Yeah.
It's going to be 50
That's
this
a
time.
loss.
Mop
So-
it
That was
up.
disappointing.
So that Cal game is November 26th, and then on the 27th we'll play either West Virginia or Richmond.
Yeah.
Perfect. You got to
That-
play West Virginia. That'd be great. Bob Huggins.
That'd be awesome. Yeah,
Bob
it's
Huggins
gonna be
team.
a tough game though. It's
That'd
gonna
be a tough game.
That one's gonna be a tough game because it's not at home. So
Bob Huggins coach teams are real good defensively. They're always good.
Well, it's at our second home. It's in Las Vegas,
Well, it
so that's our
is,
second
yeah.
home.
Yeah, it's true.
It is. It's
That's
our home.
V-
It's our home away from home.
That's Viejas West.
Yeah, exactly.
So
East.
East.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have my directions mixed up. Now my compass isn't working
Right.
at all.
Right.
Well, Mikey is the smart one,
Yeah.
remember.
I'm retarded.
One more thing. One more thing before I want to just bring up one last recruit visit. After that, DeAnthony Melton. He's a shooting guard, 3-star, 4-star, depending who you ask.
Local?
He's from, I want to say Encino, California. He's coming in, and it's from everything I see on that guy, 95%.
He'll commit.
He's going to commit.
Well, if he gets an offer here,
He got an offer. He's, like I said, it's looking good.
cool.
And based on
And he's
everything
a
I've seen,
guard?
He's a shooting guard.
Perfect.
Not a great shooter.
Oh, wow, we don't have any of them.
Yeah. So, but
He'll fit right in.
he actually will fit right in. He's actually
Yeah.
a great defender. One of the
Cool.
better.
That's
all-ball
what we-
Hey,
defenders.
let's get a guy who can defend and not score.
Well, that's what we pride ourselves on, keeping guys under 50.
Did Kawhi Leonard practice with the team the other day?
No, he was at the Jam Center.
Along with Billy White or Malcolm Thomas.
Malcolm Thomas and Castleberry was there, I believe.
Castleberry. That guy. Funny.
Dude, that guy drains the threes.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah.
Castleberry.
Yeah, that was fun.
But we'll see how it goes. So those are 3 visits I wanted to just update you guys on. And again,
Cool.
the Gil Cesar thing, I'm waiting to see what happens, and I'm very excited because he is my number 1 target on the board.
Yeah. Perfect. That is Mikey's big board, and back to you in the booth.
That's Mikey's 13 minutes of fame.
Thank you.
Before we wind it down, we always have to remind you to go to SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com, check out the marketplace, pick up your One Before I Die T-shirts. Proceeds going to Big Brothers, Big Sisters of San Diego County, so we appreciate the help. The shirts are running out quickly, so please make sure to make it over to SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com. Go to the marketplace, pick up a shirt, help out Big Brothers, Big Sisters of San Diego County. Guys, we're going to wrap this baby up, but we want to thank Jake Hefner for the call-in as always. We're going to thank Mickey Koch for making his inaugural call-in, talking some Padres baseball. That was nice. Friar Blue, and the rest of you sports junkies for joining us in the chat room.
Seasickness.
Seasickness.
Yeah.
Thanks for dropping the song for us.
Yeah,
man. I appreciate
the
it.
little teaser he gave
Yeah, I
us.
can't wait.
Be awesome.
You know what? No offense to the first song. I like this song better.
Oh, I love the song.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's
Seasickness does a good job.
It may be because the season's just right around the corner, you know?
Right?
And so we're
Fired
getting
up.
ready, getting fired up, yeah.
Fired up.
Hashtag Dramamine.
All right, guys. This is San Diego Sports Junkies, the show for fans.
By the fans.
We are out, guys.
Back
track the beats, it don't reflect on how many records get sold on sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Whether your projects put on hold in the real world. These just people with ideas. They just like me and you when the smoke and cameras disappear again. The real world is bigger than all these fake records. Wait, po folks got the millions and my woman's disrespected. If you check 1, 2, my word of advice to you is just relax. Just do what you got to do. If that don't work, then kick the fact.
Thank you for listening to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans by the fans. Brought to you by Cali Comfort, home of the low and slow barbecue, and SK Digital Imaging with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eidsmoe, and Mike Maciejewski. Subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, and on iTunes. Visit SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com for all your Chargers, Padres, and Aztecs news.